We often find ourselves in a scenario whereby we work all day and all night and only to come to the end of our task and find out that we've actually not done anything. So this book we are going to be diving into explain how to ensure that we use each and every bit of our time, because one of the very worst things to do is doing something that should not have been done very well in the wrong time. So let's get straight into the video. So the book we are going to be diving into today is written by Brian Tracy, and this is someone that has written over 74 books on productivity and how to get the best out of your day. And he said we easily get distracted by so many little activities or so many little tasks that we have. And he said we need to identify the task or the major activity that is going to have the greatest impact on our life. That means a activity that if you don't do or you miss out on, you won't be able to go to bed. For example, a good example is maybe you are going to work. If you don't go to work that day or you don't get to office that day is totally ruined because you have so much explanation to make the officials that are ahead of you. So you want to pick up the most important thing and do those things first. So it's going to give us, I think, 6 ways to go about that, and I'm going to leave the 6 points right away. So he said for you to achieve this, you need to divide your tasks into A, B, C, D, E. So your E tasks and your D tasks are tasks that can easily dispose, while your A tasks are the tasks that it must be a must do. So there's no alternative to that. So when you divide those tasks into A, B, C, after the division, out of the ones that have been divided in the A section, you want to pick a particular one that you know that this one is the most important. Then create a new list for just that one task that you pick and drain out how to work that task to completion and giving it its own A, B, C, D, E, so that it will give you a more faster and more profound way to clear up the task. And then Brian Tracy went on to explain the 20 and 80 rule, and he said 20% of your activities is what will bring 80% of your results. So there are a lot of things that you notice that on your decks that are not supposed to be doing. So you want to be focusing on the 20% that is going to lead to the actual 80% result. And he gave a good example of a manager, that the main work of a manager is usually supervising, delegating, and ensuring that things are properly run in the company. If the supervisor ends up going out or ends up trying to check individual work, is actually doing an activity, but that's not a productive activity because he is not supervising, which is the most important thing. And for example, if you are a student, one of the most important activities that is going to lead up to the results you want from graduating from school, in probably attending classes, reading, studying, tutorials, all other things, maybe field, sports, games, and all other friendship stuff, and all the things that are going to lead to your 80%. So you have to focus on the 20% that leads to your 80%. So one of the major points Brian Tracy also talked about was that focusing on one task at a time. And he said the reason why we should focus on a task at a time is because it takes our brain quite some time to adapt to different scenarios. And he gave a good example is that someone that is studying or someone that is working on a project, once the person is distracted, it takes at least 17 minutes for the person to gain full focus. So altering your focus can lead to spending a lot of time on something that you can have done in lesser time. Maybe say something that you could have done in 30 minutes, you end up spending 1 hour 30 minutes. So it's very important you focus. And he said one of the very first way or one of the best ways to ensure that you focus is that you want to find something that you can do without checking time. So there are particular activities that might be to you which is not fun, but you find yourself that you can keep on doing these things even without checking time. Why? There are some things that you actually love, but even though you are doing them, you still end up checking time. So you want to majorly focus on things that by the time you are putting your effort in it, you lose track of time. One of the major points and the last point you also talked about, or one of the summary of the book, was that you need to make out your calendar. I said once your activities and the goals of the 20% that will create your result has been found, you need to be able to break them down into sections. That this is the 20% of what I want to achieve this month. Then you break them into the weeks. That means you have four weeks. How do I break this thing down into 4 weeks? And when you find out how to break it down into 4 weeks, then you deliberate it into each day. So it makes the work easier and more consistent with you. So thank you for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and send this link to a friend so that they can gain something from it. So see you on the next video.